Hello, and you're all very welcome along to the latest Champ.ie podcast, Ireland's premier horse racing podcast in association with Boylesports, Gowran Park Racecourse, EJ Menswear and Shamrock Thoroughbreds.
As they race up the hill towards the finish, Hart the Herald here on Perry Pass has absolutely bolted up under Paul Town, and Perry Pass won by wide margin. So the final 150 yards, it's Irish point for Marie National, who's coming with every stride. They're going to the line. Irish point, Marie National on the near side.
If you haven't already, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the Champ.ie YouTube channel, as it helps to get horse racing content out there to the wider audience. We look forward to reading all your hashtag Fivecast selections in the comments section below. Enjoy the show.
Boylesports. Don't just bet, choose wisely.
Hello, and you're all very welcome along to Season 6, Episode 21 of Champ.ie on what we've got a very action-packed show for you coming up, because we have Fivecast, as always, to look forward to with brilliant racing this weekend. And, of course, we've got the Denman Chase, the Grade 2, the Handicap Hurdle is the second race, of course, at Newbury in the 335. We have a very special guest this week in Micheál Nolan. Barry will tell us all about Micheál in a few moments. And, of course, we've got plenty to come as well as we build up to Red Mills Day at Gowran Park next week. We've got EJ Menswear, of course, one of our sponsors. We'll hear from Stephen Thorne, more runners at Dundalk, and probably more success on the way this Friday night. And also, of course, Boylesports, our betting partner, will be telling you all about the big Cheltenham preview night that's coming up in Limerick as well later this month. So, Barry, looking forward to the weekend's racing, aren't we? And we've got a very special guest, of course, in Micheál Nolan to look forward to on the show this week.
This is a very smart horse, Barry. This is one that probably could be the most classiest horse I've ridden so far.
Yeah, there you are. It was brilliant to catch up with Micheál. I've been mad to get him on the show, of course, Dave, for such a long time now. County Carlow native, and he's doing absolutely great stuff over in the UK with over 200 winners on the track, closing in on 30 winners this season, and a big chance. Stay tuned in the listed bumper at Newbury, of course, on a Saturday afternoon.
Yes, as always, 5 key races for you to get involved with our listeners. Don't forget to put in your selections in the comment section below with the 5 key races up on screens for you for the course of the weekend. Barry, let's kick it all off, because we start off with the Denman Chase. That's a Grade 2 on Newbury at 2:25 on Saturday. Yeah,
probably the weakest Grade 2 Denman Chase I can remember in quite some time, David. It looks a very average renewal to kick off the show. But look, plenty in here with questions to answer. I thought the Nichols pair, you could take on both of them. Brave Man's Game, he's had probably more wind operations than I've had hot dinners. And Tongue Strap goes on for the first time. Hitman, he's a horse who's been very frustrating to follow. And, you know, he's stepping up in grade here as well once again. Carlow, he's had big days already this season. And Jello, I thought he regressed probably from, of course, last time. Now, he ran into a Protectorate that was absolutely brilliant on the day at Windsor, but I thought he regressed from his previous run, so he has to give weight as well. So by process of elimination, look, we have the 8 runners at the moment of fugitive runs, because he has an engagement at Warick, but I think he'll run here given the prize money and given the looking at the race, I suppose it looks a winnable contest. But the one I like is La Patron, who I think you can draw a line through his run at Cheltenham last time. He was backing up quite quick after winning at Newbury over the 2.5 miles. He's the one horse in here that's unexposed beyond 2.5 miles. And looking at what he done, even over 2 miles, I mean, all he does is jump and stay. He's a Grade 1 winner, of course, in Novice Company last season on heavy ground. I don't think the soft ground is going to be an issue. I heard on At the Races, actually, Josh Moore just interviewed 2 days ago, and he reckons he's going to be very much in the shake-up. Said draw a line through his run at Cheltenham last time. And, you know, he could be a better horse as well on, you know, a big galloping track like Newbury, a flat track. And he was a good 7-length winner, I thought, in Class 2 company, Dave, at Newbury on his penultimate run. So there's more to come on his 8th start. I know he has to improve on ratings, but I have to say at 13-2, he was one of the best each-way bets, I thought, each-way bet, should I say, of the weekend, given how weak this renewal of the Denman Chase looks.
Right, we'll move on with race number 2, because we're going to look at the big Premier Handicap, Barry. 2 miles, Class 1, 3:35 this Saturday, and of course at Newbury once again. What stands out here for you?
Well, it's a race, Dave, that, look, obviously a big field. You're going to need plenty of luck in running. And Nicky Henderson, looking at his strike rate, I suppose, at Newbury, the course, 21% since 2010. And just, I suppose, looking back, even as far as my tent or yours, Darlan was going to win the race before coming down, I thought, in 2012. Himself and JP have a pretty strong record in of course, Betfair, as it was once called, hurdle. And Iberico Lord, of course, won the race last year for the same connections as Joyous, who I give a massive chance to them. Staying loyal, Dave. Look, it was a big. I think the statement prior to our Cheltenham run was, this is one of the best handicapped horses in Britain. And I'm going to stay with that. Look, she's got up £4 without winning. I just wonder, I know she'd decent enough form on nicer ground, but I just wonder, would she be a better horse on a softer surface looking at her pedigree? And I thought, I'm not entirely sure she let herself down at Cheltenham last time. And I just think over the 2 miles here, the form is working out from her Taunton run. I think Tutti Quanti is a very good bet on the card at Newbury as well at the weekend. He's a nice sort for Paul Nicholls. And the form of that Cheltenham run, that mare's handicap, is actually working out well, with the third winning a Grade 2 since. Come out and bet the Willie Mullins mare, of course, Cargese, of course, on her most recent start. So the form looks strong. It's only her second run in a handicap. I think a strong pace here over 2 miles on this type of ground at Newbury. A big, I suppose, galloping long straight. She'll stay further than 2 miles, which I think is what you need here. We saw it with Iberico Lord last season. A strong stay in 2 miler is what this race suits. And I thought Joyous, look, 7-1, thought plenty of juice in that. And she has a nice weight for Nicky Henderson and Nico.
Yeah, cracking race to look forward to. Barry, before we head into our first ad break on the show this week, I'd like to tell our listeners about a Boylesports Cheltenham preview night that's coming up, and all proceeds are going to go to the Irish Injured Jockeys Fund. It's taking place on Thursday, February 20th, down in Limerick Racecourse. It's a fabulous venue. And David Jennings of the Racing Post, who, of course, was on with us last week on Champ.ie as our special guest, he's going to be the host on the night. Yeah. They have a fantastic lineup. It's going to be a super lineup. And well, why not go along to Limerick Racecourse Thursday, February 20th, the Boylesports preview night. And, of course, Joe Media as well will be there to record everything and to give it plenty of publicity. And I think the most important thing, Barry, is all proceeds, they go to the Injured Jockeys Funds, and tickets are €20.
Definitely the social side.
The atmosphere.
Unreal. Look, atmosphere class. Racing is good and going.
All the glamour.
The atmosphere, the people, the crack.
Getting to see the horses and the trainers and the jockeys up first and close.
Seeing beautiful thoroughbreds competing, because they're the most majestic animals you've ever seen.
Well, we had a fantastic day, Barry, down at the Goffs Thyestes Day at Gowran Park. What can we look forward to next week at Gowran with Red Mills Day? I know you're going to be lining up an interview with Jane Davis, who put so much work into the day itself.
Absolutely.
But it's a brilliant day, isn't it, Barry?
Fully complimentary, and I suppose just a message coming through from Eddie, of course, Scally, the Gowran Park Racecourse manager, that the final release of tickets for Red Mills Day is on Tuesday next at 4 p.m. So fully complimentary the day itself. We could have some runners with a view to the Cheltenham Festival, some big clues. Corbett's Cross, fingers crossed, Dave. We put them into the team sheets, of course, for the Gold Cup as an each way bet. I think he's a big chance in a Gold Cup, certainly getting into the mix. The race looks to have cut up, and he could have his prep run for the Cheltenham Festival in the Red Mills Chase. So fingers crossed. Look, it promised to be a fantastic day down there. The hurdle, obviously, last season, a tremendous contest, and Saint Sam was a really good winner of the chase last year on Red Mills Day. And a full lineup. Champ.ie will be doing, of course, the morning line show ahead of racing, which is on Saturday the 15th. That was a big day down at Gowran Park. Red Mills Day, Dave.
Absolutely. Right, let's move on with our next race that we're going to preview for this weekend. And we're looking ahead to the listed hurdle, a 2 miles 5 hurdle. That is, of course, coming at Warick, Barry. I'm going to come straight into my nap pick of the weekend. It's going to be in this one. It's Gala Marceau, opened up at 7-4 for Willie Mullins. And as we record, it's been backed and heavily backed. It's now a 5-4 chance with Boylesports. I expect this to go off odds on.
If you're looking for a short one this weekend, Dave, that says really solid. I have to say, I'm in full agreement, Gallagher. So the only thing I would say is her record fresh isn't absolutely tremendous, but it looks a real opportunity given the fact that, I suppose, look, she's top rated 145. She's getting £4 from the 140 rated You Wear It Well. who reverts back. It's not ideal, really, because she was trained as a chaser for the first half of the season. Gowran Park having her first run. Look, Willie Mullen's stable form, absolutely fantastic. At the moment, Danny is going over for one ride. It's Willie Mullins' only runner in Warick. And look, she's a 2-time Grade 1 winner, isn't she, Gowran Park? And she did beat Lossiemouth as a juvenile. So we're talking about Lossiemouth as being a challenger to Constitution Hill in the champion hurdle. Really, Dave, she has to be the nap pick of the weekend, Gowran Park. I mean, if you're taking a line through Lossiemouth, I know that was as a juvenile. She was disappointing last year, Gowran Park, but I think on ratings and race condition, she's definitely the one to beat. And I wouldn't be with the Skelton. I know they like their winners at Warwick. It's a local course for the Skeltons, but it's not ideal. I think West Balboa stepping back in trip against this mare. I think she'll take a lot of beating. 5-4 of the short one. She's the nap pick of the weekend. I'd agree.
Yeah, she has to be, doesn't she, Barry? I think she's ticking all the right boxes ahead of this contest on Saturday. What about the 3:15, Barry? Because this is a Class 2. It's the veterans chase, and plenty of runners in here that have big chances. And of course, topping the market, we've got fugitive Richard Hobson's runner at around 5-2 at the top of the market as we record. Le Milos for the Skeltons 3-1. And what about Shake 'em Up Harry for Harry Redknapp and Ben Pauling, Callum Pritchard on board names 5 around 9-2. A faller last night. What's your take on it?
Well, look, I mean, Shake 'em Up Harry is a Cheltenham Festival winner, isn't he? And, I know he's 11 years of age, but he's a lightly raced 11-year-old. 2.5 miles, soft ground, seems to be Shake 'em Up Harry's thing. Coming in off the back of the fall, though, is, far from ideal, I think, into this contest. Fugitive, I was genuinely hoping he would go to the Denman chase, given how open it does look. And that leaves you, Le Milos is the one here. I mentioned the Skeltons, they're tracking just under 20% since 2010 with their runners, their strike rate with the runners at Warwick. And I like his profile for the race. Look, I know he's proven over a lot further, Dave. 3 mile 2 furlong. He was a winner, of course, of the Hennessy. Stays well. He hasn't actually won a race since then. And so, looking at his current rating, he's probably very well handicapped in old form. There's certainly races, and this looks a good opportunity for Le Milos. Stepping back in trip, I think actually is a positive here on this type of ground, and he's improved at each and every one of his 3 runs this season. That's what I like most about this horse for this particular race. And Le Milos 3-1. I could see him going off favoured. And I think the third last time out behind Lowry's Bar reads a strong piece of form, because I give him claims if the ground was soft in a festival handicap such as the Ultima. So that form reads well. Stepping back in trip, Le Milos the bet.
Ollie Murphy's horse is in relatively good form. Grandad's Cottage, draw a line through its run last. If you went back 2 starts ago to its very impressive win, would it come into contention here around the mark of 6-1?
Not off a pulled up effort last time. Wouldn't be of interest, Dave.
Fair enough. That's short and sweet. That's an answer for me. Puts me back in my box. Let's move on then, and we'll go to the final race of the 5 we look at, which is the 2 mile 5 handicap hurdle. This, of course, is the Class 2, Barry, 3:48. You've been taking a good, strong look at this one. What stands out?
I have to say, a Panic Attack. I mean, it could be a good afternoon for the Skeltons. Harry Skelton, of course, not at Newbury. He's at Warwick. I think there's a couple of winners from on the card. I don't think it's going to be West Balboa, because Gowran Park, I think, as we mentioned, is going to take all the beating in the feature. But Panic Attack for me won a bumper, of course, a listed bumper for Willie Mullins back in the day, and was a listed winner over hurdles for the David Pipe team. But just having her 4th start for the new stable, the Skelton team seemed to have got this mare back on song. And, I thought she was very, very impressive over fences at Windsor. I thought she hit the line very, very very, very hard and easy. It was, cruise control at Windsor. She beat Mayhem Mia, who is a mare I actually rate, and she's not far off a black type mare. And look, she's gone up 10 pounds over fences, which probably leaves her well treated over hurdles. Looks a good opportunity. I thought long term in the race, Dave, Shanna Bob is a horse to keep an eye out. He's already qualified for the Potemps. I'm not entirely sure Nicky Henderson will want to go up between now and the festival in March. I think it'll run well. Johnny Burke's on board. But for win purposes, Panic Attack, I think, is probably the most likely winner. She's a nice weight. The trip looks ideal for her. She's in good form, and I think the ground as well. She's proven. I think she's only on place twice from 9 runs, Dave, Panic Attack, when the ground has been soft. So for me, she looks one of the better bets once again on the card. The Skeltons could have a double. Le Milos Panic Attack on Saturday afternoon.
Yes, absolutely. Well, they are the 5 races. Don't forget for you to like and subscribe the podcast, and as well as that, put in your selections with your Fivecast selections down below in the comment section. Right, we're going to head into another break, and right after this, we're going to hear from a very special guest this week, Micheál Nolan.
Yes, so hello, Barry Doyle from the Champ.ie podcast, Ireland's Pony Horse Racing podcast. I'm here with my co-host, David Byrnes, and we're here in Sligo Town, David, in EJ Menswear, and EJMenswear.com. Fantastic season ahead. EJ has kindly partnered up with us to be the men's fashion partner with Champ.ie for the season. And David, we're suited and booted. You're looking sharp.
Yeah, well, thanks very much. And this fantastic bundle and this outfit we're wearing is costing $2.99. It sets you up beautifully for the racing season ahead, which includes Leopardstown at Christmas, Thyestes Day at Gowran Park, and of course, if you want to go even bigger, you can get togged out for the Cheltenham and Entry festivals later on in the season.
Absolutely, and of course, check out the Champ.ie podcast right throughout the season, Mondays and Thursdays, and look at the offer, the tailored bundle for the racing season, $2.99, blazer, shirt, chino, socks and shoes. What's not to like, lads? Check out EJMenswear.com to find out all the racing offers. Yes, so delighted to be joined on the Champ.ie podcast by a man I've wanted to get on the show for quite some time, and County Carlow native, stable jockey, of course, to Philip Hobbs. I'm not sure, Micheál Nolan, if you're more famous for being a stable jockey in the UK or being a former Mount Leinster Rangers hurler.
Morning, Barry. I don't know if I didn't have much success with the Mount Leinster Rangers. I played for plenty of years with the lads at home and I had good fun, but definitely having a bit more success in the racing world.
I suppose patience, consistency, determination. You must have learned a lot from 4-time champion jockey Richard Johnson, I suppose, in your early days in the UK.
Yeah, like when I came over here in 2010, Barry, there was, Philip Hobbs is one of the biggest trainers in the UK, and I came over through Aidan Fitzgerald, got me the job over here, and he sent me over because Philip was, I think he was probably one of the trainers that could train 100 winners every year and earn £1 million in prize money. So it was one of the top yards to come to. And then when I came here, Richard Johnson was our stable jockey I think he was here for nearly 20 years. And Tom O'Brien was second jockey, and there was a brilliant team of conditional jockeys and amateurs. It was a great yard to be involved with, to come as a young rider, because the competition was fierce, so it keeps you motivated and determined. And the standard of horses was incredible. And back in them stages, I didn't really get to ride many good horses in races, but got to school them at home and ride them in work. So I got plenty of experience here, just being in a big yard. And then obviously I kept my head down and kept working, and slowly but surely progressed up to be one of the main riders there now.
And I suppose in your very early days, Tom Foley, of Danoli fame, of course, a trainer just outside Bangladesh in County Carlow. How big a part did the Foley, I suppose, family play in your life, getting you started?
Oh, massive. Probably, only for them, I definitely wouldn't be riding, because they were our local trainers at home. Danoli, as everybody knows, was a superstar, and I grew up watching him. And my next door neighbour, actually, Jimmy Kelly, used to work for the Foleys, and he used to bring me up to see Danoli on the weekends and stuff. And sure, that's where kind of all probably started, really. And when I was 13 or 14, we were in Gowran Park at the races one day, and my mother walked up to Tom and asked him, would he give me a job riding out at the weekends? And he said, come up. And sure, I was as green as grass when I went up there. I was good at riding ponies and stuff, but I never rode a racehorse up the gallop. So they gave me plenty of, they were patient with me and gave me plenty of tips along the way, because when I started riding out there first, I used to get run away with every day. And I thought I'm never going to be able to be a jockey. But, I got to the stage there where I was able to ride any horse on the gallop and ready to go on to the next part of my career,
Talk to us about Captain Chris Minora. Those days must have been absolutely fantastic. Was there any particular horse that you had a soft spot in those early days?
The very first day I came into Philip Hobbs' yard, there's 5 stables. We call it the canteen row, Spidey Canteen. And in those 5 stables, there was Captain Chris, Minora, Wishful Thinking, Planet of Sound, and Fairalong. 5 proper grade 1 horses. And that was the standard of horse that was there then. And even horses that probably didn't get the credit they deserve, because they were behind those horses. Like, we had really good, solid mid-40 horses that were running every day of the week. Every time we'd run bumper horses that were winning or being placed, the standard was just incredibly high. But I suppose a horse that I probably liked along the way was definitely Desai, because I actually used to school him and ride him his work early in his career. And then he went on to I think he won 7 Grade 1s. So I probably played a little part in his career more than the others. But, just to have the opportunity to ride horses like that, get the feel off a good one, it's just it's nice to be able to do that,
Speaking of good ones, obviously, we fast forward to this season, and you're closing in on 25 winners for the season, over 200 winners, well over 200 winners on the track, and a 25% strike rate as we're talking this morning on Thursday morning, the 6th of course, February. Saturday winners and horses that I suppose take you to the big days. Imperial Saint, 3 from 5 this season, and a Saturday winner along the way. He's been a real good stable star over the course of the last 12 months.
Yeah, he's a horse that we liked a lot last year. Richard Johnson actually owns him and his syndicate. They bought him after winning an Irish point-to-point, and he won very impressively first time out for us in Ludlow last year over hurdles. And we always liked him, but since he went chasing this season, he's brought massive improvement to him. His jumping is incredible. He's very slick, and he's progressed all the way. He went to Aintree for his first novice chase, won that nicely. He's won 3 times there since. And he ran a big race in Cheltenham last Saturday, finished a good third, giving weight away to the first 2. And he was hitting the line running. So he's improving all the time. He's definitely one that we're hoping can take us to a big day. He probably will have an entry for the Cheltenham Festival, but I'd say he's probably more likely to target Aintree in the springtime rather than Cheltenham. That could be his main goal, because he obviously acts around there very well. He's got serious form around there, so hopefully there's a big day in him,
Yes, and Micheál, of course, speaking of Cheltenham, speaking of the spring festivals, a horse that's on many people's shortlist is Lowry's Bar, progressive chaser, rated 148.
He is, Barry. Like, he's a horse that's from the first run for us here. He won a novice hurdle down in Wincanton over 2 miles, and we always felt when he stepped up and trip, that would bring the best out of him. He then went chasing this year, and he bumped into that Jaeger of JP's in Bangor the first day, finished a good second, and then he racked up a couple of winners himself since. And then he was probably a bit unlucky down in Windsor the last day on the Grade 2. He made the run and jumped very well, and he just missed 3 out, and it gave Nicky Henderson's horse a chance to get back in front, and he just beat us. But it was a solid run. The handicappers giving him £4 for that run, so he obviously liked what he saw as well. But there's definitely, a big race in this guy. He's probably a horse that maybe down the line might suit a national, whether a Grand National or maybe even an Irish National. He's a real staying type, so he's very, very exciting.
Yes, another horse, Micheál, to mention, Friendship. Nice novice. Wasn't beaten all that far as well by the New Lion, who's up there in the market, of course, for the Turners at Cheltenham.
Yeah, Friendship, he's a very smart novice. He's had good form in bumpers. He won a bumper very impressively in Haydock last season. And then straight away, when he stepped into novice hurdle company, he's always represented himself well. Had now won 2 himself, and good form behind the New Line in Newbury. That was a big run. He fourth, wasn't beaten all that far, and he came out and won nicely in Thorne the next day. So he's definitely a horse with a bright future. Again, I think when he steps up and trip, we'll see further improvement from him, and he handles nice ground as well. So he'd be definitely one into the springs, end of the winter campaign, springtime. That would be when I'd like to think we see the best of him,
And a horse that I know you've a bit of time for, Santa Ana Polino. Looks headed a handicapper, of course, won at Taunton 2 days ago.
Yes, he was a horse that really caught our eye last year. His work was very, very good, and was placed in a bumper behind a good horse of Paul Nichols in Exeter. And he had a bit of a setback after that. Then he got a little injury that kept him out for the rest of the season. And he's come out this year now, and his form has been good. He's been placed his first couple of novice hurdles, and then he's won his last 2. He's still learning the job. He's a little bit quirky mentally, but definitely has ability. and I know he's one that they might target a handicap maybe at the festival. He might need one more run to go there first, but if that goes well, he could help Cheltenham for something. So he's definitely one to keep an eye on, because I think he could be just ahead of the handicapper still.
Similar, Tom Donovan, also in decent form.
Yeah, Tom Donovan, he's a lovely horse. He's more of a chasing type. He's won his last 2 hurdles. He started off a nice mark, and he's won impressively both times. He'll run again somewhere in the next couple of weeks, I'm sure. But I think when he goes chasing next year, that could bring a big improvement to him. So whatever he does this year will be interesting. But I'd be looking forward to him for next year.
Horse that's given you some big days, of course, Tommy Bow. I'm sure he holds a big place in your heart, Micheál.
Yeah, Tommy Bow, he's a lovely horse. He's a really fun horse. He's owned by my sponsor, Simon Prout, and he's been an incredible horse, really. I think he's won 14 races for them. He only paid £18,000 for him, and he's won nearly £200,000 in prize money. So he's paid for himself a couple of times over. And yeah, he loves fast ground. He's a real staying chaser, but loves fast ground. So come into springtime, he's had a busy campaign through the winter. They've given him a crack at a few of the bigger races, but probably just outclassed, really. And going into the spring summer now, he's on a bit of a break at the moment, but he could be very useful now for a staying chase in the summertime.
Yeah, I was going to say, could we see him maybe in the cross country at Cheltenham? Is that the plan?
I don't know if that's the plan this year. The owner loves travelling and he loves going on tour. He did mention maybe Punchestown, so He went there last year as a spectator, and he said he'd love to have a runner there. So he could see him maybe have an entry for one of the cross countries over there, maybe,
Saturday entries, obviously you have a good book of rides. Well, not chalked up as of yet, but in terms of the Hobbs team, plenty of entries this weekend. The first one I wanted to mention is the horse entered in the bumper, the listed bumper, Sober Glory. That's down to run 4:45 at Newbury. Horse you like?
This is a very smart horse, Barry. This is one that probably could be the most classiest horse I've ridden so far. He won his bumper in Chepstow the first day, won nicely, but then very impressive in Exeter with a penalty the last day. That race has worked out very well. The horse that was fifth in it won a bumper in Sandown quite nicely last weekend, and we're really, really hopeful this could be our next stable star. He's got a lovely attitude. He's very relaxed. He stays well. He also has a bit of pace, which is able to use to good effect in his bumpers. He's also related to a very good horse we had here called Fingal Bay, and he seems to, be following his footsteps so far. Like I said, he's got a lovely attitude, very relaxed, very uncomplicated to ride, and we're hoping he can be, one of our next big Saturday horses.
In the veterans handicap at Warick, I see Smartly Wild is entered up. Is he a horse you think there's a big day in soon?
Smarty Wild, yeah, he's a lovely horse. He's a big horse, jumps the fence really well. Those veteran chases, he qualifies for them, and that's what he's been running in. But they're very competitive races, and he was a good third in Market Raising the last day. He's ran really well, but it's very competitive to win those type races over here. But I think he's rated 125. He's probably capable of winning off that mark anyway. So I'm sure they'll find a race for him somewhere, and he's definitely not done with winning yet.
And Oh My Johnny is entered at Exeter in the West Country, of course, close to yourself, on Sunday, along with Georgie Girl. So Oh My Johnny and Georgie Girl both entered up on Sunday, Micheál.
Yeah, Oh My Johnny, very exciting horse. Again, one of Richard Johnson's. He bought him after one run in a point-to-point in Ireland. He was upsides at the last, looking like he could potentially win, and he fell. Came to us, and he's progressed from run to run. He won very impressively in Uttoxeter, and then we ran him in Newbury, and the ground was just very dead that day. First time in the handicap, and he never really travelled and just didn't give me the same feel as he has done. So he's got an entry for the weekend in Exeter, stepping up in trip, which will definitely help him. And he's a smart horse. He's only just turning 5 now. He probably needs to fill into his frame a little bit more to see the finished article, but I'd say next year again he'll be a very nice horse to keep an eye on.
And Georgie Girl?
Georgie Girl, yeah, she's a mare that Ben Jones usually rides for the yard. I've ridden her once before. She's a very smart mare. She's progressed right through the rankings in the hurdle sphere, and now she's going chasing for the first time on Sunday. She's in a listed mares chase in Exeter, but she jumps really well. She's a smart filly. She could definitely improve for fences, this mare. So she's a fine big mare, jumps really nicely, and I know that the lads really fancy her for a big run at the weekend.
I suppose finally, Micheál, look, before we let you go, I know you've a long trip. I couldn't believe it yesterday when I was speaking to you. You had a round trip to Sedgefield, over 6 hours in the West Country. I mean, just to touch upon that, I mean, travel is something, especially where you're located in the UK. I mean, this must be something, it's a fair commitment, isn't it? You know, 6 hours to the races for 3 rides at Sedgefield.
It is, Barry. Like, it's one of them, I suppose England's just a bigger country, and, you know, like yesterday I was in, you know, to give you an example, yesterday I was in Sedgefield, which was 6 hours from my house. The day before I was in Thorne, which is half an hour. So some days the ball can roll with you and some days against you. Traveling is definitely I think if you speak to any jockey over here in the UK, I'd say traveling is probably the hardest part of the job, because you can spend 7 or 8 hours in the car most days. But luckily where we're based down here, David Pipe's yard's not too far away, Paul Nichols, Anthony Honeyball, so all the lads from there, and Sean Houlihan, Ben Jones, they're based here in Hobbs as well. So we can share lifts as well. You know, there's usually we can jump in 2 or 3 of us together and share lifts, so it's not too bad. But you definitely get bored looking at a steering wheel anyway, that's for sure.
And I suppose, look, to do that and to make those sort of commitments, Micheál, there must be a horse that I suppose that gets you most excited when getting out of the bed in the morning. What is it at the moment?
I'd say at the moment, probably Sober Glory. You know, he's obviously fairly early in his career, but what he's done so far, he's been very impressive. He just gives you a feel that he's got a real bit of class about him. I think he could be the one that, you know, every jockey needs a big day horse to get him, you know, to make him stand out in their career. And I've not really had that yet. I suppose Tommy Bowe's been maybe the most popular horse with people that I've ridden. But I think Sober Glory could be the one that hopefully can go to graded level anyway, you know.
What is your biggest goal before you retire?
I would love to ride a Cheltenham Festival winner. That would be the dream come true. I'd love to also ride in the Grand National. Obviously I'd love to win the Grand National, but just to ride in that race. I've ridden in all those races over those fences in Aintree except the National. So to ride a Cheltenham Festival winner and have a good ride in the National would be 2 things that I wanted to try achieve before I became a jockey, and I'd love to try achieve it before I finish being one as well, you know.
Obviously, you know, Punchestown, you mentioned some of the owners that you're involved with love runners at Punchestown. Is that an ambition, maybe to ride a winner, or maybe come home and get a big, I suppose, result on the track in Ireland before you finish up?
Yeah, actually, funny enough, since I came to England when I was an amateur, I was actually done quite well at point-to-point in my first year here. I was champion novice point-to-point rider in the UK. And that year, funny enough, I ended up getting a couple of rides back in Ireland. I rode it in the Punchestown Festival for Don Cantillon. He brought a couple over, and I won the 4-year-old bumper on the Tuesday for him. And that was a great feeling back then, because, you know, to come away from Ireland, the track, you know, your home and tracks that you're used to, and to go back and ride a winner, that was lovely. I also won a novice chase at the Galway Festival for Kevin O'Toole, a good friend of mine who's got a couple of racehorses. So that was nice. But to go back as a professional jockey and ride a nice winner, that would be a dream come true. You know, like to go back to Leopardstown or Punchestown or somewhere like that and ride a winner on a good horse, that would be, you know, it'd be lovely to do that. And Philip Hobbs is no stranger to doing that. Back when I came here first, he had plenty of runners in Ireland at Punchestown and lots of winners too. So, you know, hopefully in the next couple of years we can find a horse to do that as well.
At this moment in time, as we're speaking, what do you think is the best chance you have a Spring Festival winner this season?
Oh, well, obviously, if the ground was soft, on the softer side, I'd say Lowry's Bar, and I'd say if the ground dried out a bit, probably Imperial Saint. He'd probably handle a bit better ground. So those 2 would be the best chances, and ground dependent would give either one a better chance, you know.
And this weekend, best chance of a winner for Micheál Nolan?
Sober Glory.
Micheál, it was an absolute pleasure talking to you, the Champ.ie podcast. As I said, been meaning to get you on for quite some time. I thought this weekend was a real good opportunity. You're flying it at the moment, 25% strike rate, as we mentioned, closing in on 30 winners now for the season. And yeah, we wish you all the best, Micheál Nolan. And let's hope you can continue, and let's put fingers crossed for a Spring Festival winner this season for you.
Thanks very much, Barry. It's lovely to be on. Cheers.
Boylesports. Don't just bet. Choose wisely.
Yes, cracking interview there with Micheál Nolan, and I'm very interested in some of those runners he's mentioned as well for this weekend, Barry.
Absolutely. Look, first of all, Micheál, look, what a professional he's been over the last 14 years. And it just goes to show you, he's Mr. Consistent, but if you stay around and you're determined for long enough, Dave, that you will get an opportunity. And he has done, of course, with Philip Hobbs. And, that real big Saturday horse, Imperial Saint, of course, earlier on in the season, we napped it on the show and went on to win, of course, at Aintree. And some real big chances, I think, at the Spring Festivals as well, Micheál Nolan. It's lovely to see the Hobbs team, of course, back with potentially a real top horse in this Sober Glory, which is 5-1, might I add. A big price for the bumper at Newbury, of course, on the listed bumper at Newbury on Saturday afternoon. But, Micheál, he's over 200 winners now on the track, closing in on 30 winners for the season. And, Lowry's Bar, Imperial Saint, Sober Glory, some real nice horses to go to war with. Just speaking as well to Micheál off air, David, before he finishes up, we said we had to get him that Gowran Park winner. He'd love to ride a winner at Gowran Park Racecourse, obviously a County Carlow native, and it'd be brilliant to see. Look, that's an ambition, and he'd love to ride a winner at the Cheltenham Festival. It'd be great to see it. And look, as I said, he's been an ultimate pro, Dave, waiting in the wings of the likes of Richard Johnson, Tom O'Brien over the last 14 years. He's been a brilliant professional, and great to see him having all the success he's having.
Yes, absolutely. And the very best of luck to him in the remainder of his career as well. Barry, looking at the Boyne hurdle on Sunday, obviously we don't have the decks at this stage before Sunday's big Boyne hurdle, but nothing really standing out that you'd be saying you'd be mad to get involved in. But for me, I thought Gentleman's Game, if he lines up for Mouse Morris, was third at Cheltenham last time, over 3 mile and 1 over fences behind Laham Press and Stage Star. It's and of course the Devil's Coachman, we have to mention him. He was second in the Galmoy hurdle after bouncing back to form for Noel Mead as well. Any strong opinion on the Boyne hurdle on Sunday?
A strong enough opinion, Dave, actually, since we were talking last, because look, Gentleman's Game, that Cotswolds Chase, I thought was a desperate renewal. Absolutely desperate renewal altogether. And I just reverting back over hurdles here. It's interesting, Noel Mead's runner, I was a big, fan of the Devil's Coachman with a view to the Galmoy last season. And he's run an absolute cracker at 18-1, of course, in this season's renewal, just touched off by the improving Rocky's Diamond. I think the Galmoy form is the form to bring into the weekend. He's 3-1 at the moment, the Devil's Coachman. And he was trained, I suppose, as a chaser the first part of last season, and was plan B to go back over hurdles, and it didn't run his race whatsoever. I'm convinced of that in the Galmoy, but he's clearly in decent form. Noel Mead, he's almost one of the founding fathers in Navan Racecourse at this stage, isn't he? And I just think heavy ground, doesn't appear to be all that much rain due between now and Sunday afternoon. I think I'd make him a massive player. I think the Galmoy form is definitely the form to bring into the race, and Asterion for Lunge, albeit on ratings, he'd have to have a chance. But there's a couple in here have to reverse the form with the Devil's Coachman. He looks the one for me. Also, for Team McManus, Verdon Place, a course and distance winner off 116. He still looks very well treated in the 3 mile handicap chase at 420. He's one for Pat Foley. I give a massive chance to. Ran incredibly, I thought, in novice company last time after winning at Navan. I'd say he could go in again. And the one I like as well at Navan is Come Walk With Me for Eddie Call. He had a winner yesterday at Fairy House, second to Sounds Victorious. I'd say he ran probably too close to Sounds Victorious for him to be looking at handicaps, and the handbrake could be off, shall we say, with Come Walk With Me. He looks a nice type in the 140 at Navan. Watch the market closely. I can tell you he's a good horse. It's, whether just the market will be a good guide. So he's one I'm interested in, the 140. Come Walk With Me. Very interested in him, actually.
Yes, well, we're going to head into hearing from Stephen Thorne. He's got another busy weekend of runners at Dundalk. Let's hear from Stephen and the chances of his runners before we tidy up our next best and nap selections right after this. From Dundalk to Longchamp, from the Galway races to the Breeders' Cup, Shamrock Thoroughbreds have taken owners all over the world.
Tiger Bell in front, holds them. Late on the scene is Dawn Charger storming home, but Tiger Bell in front and won.
Coming through the centre, Laugh a Minute with a strong challenge on this Laugh a Minute, who goes on in the closing stages to win by a length and a half. Laugh a Minute from Fiscal Roots.
But it's Harry's Bar repelling the late challenge of the stable companion Dream Today, and Harry's Bar makes it 6-course win.
Check out shamrockthoroughbreds.com or click the link in the Champ.ie podcast video description to learn more about new racehorse ownership opportunities.
Yes, well, a lot can happen in 2 weeks in horse racing. A lot can happen in 2 weeks in life as well. A big congratulations, Stephen, on your new birth, and a big congratulations from a training perspective and to Shamrock Thoroughbreds. High time you wins once again.
Yeah, very special horse for myself. Personally, one the weekend I got engaged, the weekend I got married, and a day before our baby was due, myself and Stephanie had a newborn child there born last night, so we're over the moon.
Absolutely. And Stephen, I suppose a big congratulations from us and the team at Champ.ie, first and foremost to yourself and Stephanie. But I suppose looking from a racing perspective, everything seems to be clicking at the moment. Third, I believe, in the, of course, All-Weather Championship, and very much in the running at the moment. And just looking at the strike rate, 25% at the moment from your runners, and 4 winners in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, we've had a great start now to the year. I think it's always important. January comes around, and obviously the all-weather racing is still in full flow. The second half of the all-weather campaign up until the flat season begins, and it's an exciting time when you've a nice bunch of 2-year-olds to prepare and organise, and obviously a nice team of flat horses that will be being prepared for the turf season too. But mixed with all that, we've had a dream start with the all-weather horses, and they continue to run their eyeballs out really. And we've had 4 winners in the last couple of weeks, and a couple of placed efforts as well. But no, just thrilled with the way things are progressing, and we're continuing to build.
Now, let's have a look. Obviously, Dundalk on Friday night, once again, the 4:15, Never Shout Never, is entered up in the 4:15. It's the Dundalk Winter Series leading trainer and jockey championship handicap. 4:15 at Dundalk. What chance? Never Shout Never.
He was one that won well the last day from a very wide draw first week of December. So we decided to give him a little break, freshen him up, and we put a ring around this race. We've given him his 5 weeks preparation after his month's break. So a couple of bits of work. He's fit, ready to go. Might be possibly in need of a run. He can be a little bit stuffy, this horse, but 7 runners, small field. He's won his last start. He probably looks to pick at them on the form. These sprinters, they don't take much training anyway, but he might be in need of a run potentially, but fingers crossed the horse will go close. We're out in gate 7, but he's a horse that likes to jump forward, and Jamie Powell knows him very well. So look, we're hoping for a top 3 finish, and anything after that will be a bonus tomorrow.
Now, Harry's Bar, let's talk, obviously is entered up in the 450 race, I believe, at Dundalk tomorrow night, and stepped up to 7 furlongs last time, of course. That was back on the 18th of December, but had some decent runs, of course, back in the, I suppose, from September to, of course, November, with 3 second-placed efforts. He's surely back down to a mark that he can be competitive off, Steve.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he's still moving like a 2-year-old, this horse. I said when we done the stable tour, he still retains a lot of ability, even at 10, the age of 10. And, he's one that I'm desperate to win with. He's been a flag bearer for us for many years. And yeah, I'm very keen to get a result with him. He's been in very good form the last few weeks. Stephen Noonan, my assistant, has been riding him, and we've opted to change up the headgear. He won in a set of cheek pieces first time for us a couple of years back, and we decided to opt for the blinkers tomorrow. He has been a little bit funny, tricky in the gates as well to load, but provided that he loads and everything goes according to plan, I think the change of headgear might bring a different spark to him tomorrow, and he's fit and ready to go.
2 runners into 7 o'clock, which is the mile handicap, and drawn in stall number 4, Perfect Judgment, on a hat-trick bid, Steve. And the Irish handicapper has given him £6 for winning, of course, just this month. And well, I suppose, how do you How do you read the handicapper's assessment?
Yeah, look, I suppose he was fair the last day. He got £4 for winning before Christmas, and then another 6 for winning the last day. He seems like a horse that's on an upward curve, but how much juice is left in the handicap mark, I'm not so sure. He won a Leopardstown handicap there back in September, so that's 3 handicap wins. There's not many horses can do that in the space of 4 or 5 months. So he's on a hat trick bid. Whether he can defy the handicapper once more, I'm hoping he will. Jamie Pound gets on like a house on fire with this horse and has found the key to him. Perhaps the danger might come from Shoot to Kill out in stall 7, who was third in the race the last day and is unchanged in the weights, and he's in ripping form also. So I think we have 2 in-form bullets in the race, and I'm expecting big runs again from both.
Up on the stand side, Scholarship between them, but it's Independent Expert as Ramiro fades. Independent Expert from Scholarship on the far side. Independent Expert gets there by half a length.
It's on the final 150 yards. It's still Physique from Independent Expert, who's trying to go by on the outside as these two go towards the line. Independent Expert has timed it to perfection.
Looks exciting, Steve.
Yeah, no, we've got 50% sold in this package, and we're probably 3 weeks selling them there now, and they've gone down extremely well with my current shareholders, and we've managed to get some new shareholders involved as well. So on the back of the success that we've been having, people have been taking notice, and I'm just glad to have some fresh people involved with us. And I think the Independent Expert filly should be prepared for the Irish Lincoln. She's a filly that handles soft ground. She's got good curve form. She was third in the Cambridgeshire last year, beating the head and the neck. She knows how to win. She won in Cork first up last year, and Killarney. She's a good solid fun filly for the season ahead, and the 2-year-old is quite exciting. First 2-year-old we brought into the stable. We'll have its first bit of work there hopefully next week. She looks very precocious, and she looks like she has an engine. As I said, it's early days yet for these 2-year-olds, but hopefully she's one that'll put her hand up very soon. And I think she'll be a sort of lovely April, May filly if she's not out before then. And who knows, some lads, these boys might be getting their top hat and tails on.
Absolutely, Steve. And I suppose finally, before we do wrap up, as Matt Chapman asks on his course Sunday, once upon a time on his Sunday morning show, best chance of a winner for Shamrock Thoroughbreds this upcoming Friday. What are you going with?
Yeah, perhaps Perfect Judgment might get the hat-trick bid up for us. He looks like a rock solid chance of defying the penalty. I know Sheila's horse disappointed last week when the horse was second against one of our others that won last week, but I do feel the horse is on an upward curve, and he's got great confidence out of those last couple of wins and travelled into the race very powerfully the last night. So hopefully there's a little bit left in the tank.
Speaking from experience, Steve, it's going to get very, very busy in the Shamrock Thoroughbreds household. Those night feeds await. Very best of luck this weekend. And of course, a big congratulations to yourself and Stephanie on the birth of your newborn.
And many congratulations to yourself as well on the birth of yours. And we're only a few weeks behind you, Barry. So we're following in your we're following in your footsteps.
Well, you never know. It's 2 boys that could be played. They could be the 2 centre halves for Ireland in the World Cup 2050. It's that insufferable father syndrome. But Stephen, look, we'll catch up very, very soon. And the very best of luck on Friday night. Will you be at the races, or is Stephen Mooney going to have to?
Stephen will be representing me well on Friday.
Right, well, we've come to the end of this week's show, and it's time for us, Barry, to give our next best selections, which I don't have this weekend. I just have a nap, which is Gala Marceau, keeping it very, very simple in that listed Mayor's Hurdle on Saturday afternoon. That's going to be my nap pick for this weekend. And for yourself?
Do you know what? Double nap, Dave. Let's keep the naps. Let's keep the winners coming on the show. I think it's quite straightforward. She wouldn't be going over there to make up the numbers. That is for sure. And look, Danny Mullins on board. It's his only ride, as mentioned at the meeting at Warick, and Willie Mullins, of course, absolutely in cracking form at the moment. On ratings, looking at the race conditions, ratings and overall form, she's definitely the one to beat. And there is 6-4 available, Dave. So let's put her into the team sheet. 6-4, nap pick of the weekend. Gallagher. So in full agreement. And every time we do a double nap on this show, Dave, I know it's a short one, look, but every time we do a double nap, it seems to land. So
Boylesports. Don't just bet. Choose wisely.
And finally, Barry, a next bet selection from you for the weekend.
Yeah, 5-1. We're going to go Sober Glory, Dave, for the next best in that listed bumper. Looks a winnable contest. Look, Rhoda Loughlin did once upon a time train the favourite, which has since gone to Paul Nicholls. Probably looks the biggest rival, but in truth, I think this could be a smart horse. Liked what he done at Exeter last time, and has a nice bit of experience as well heading into a listed bumper, which should stand him in good stead against some of his rivals. Could be a tap horse. 5-1. Next best, I think, Sober Glory. That definitely looks a bet at the weekend. And the other one to mention, look, we've mentioned it already, that's La Patron. I think in a race that looks very, very winnable, that has to be an each-way bet for me at 13-2 this weekend. You know, if you're getting the 3 places, if Fugitive does go, you have the 8 runners. And as I said, I'm against the Nicholls pair, big time in the race. Carlow, I think, is... ran with credit in handicaps, but he's had, I think he's been fairly well tuned up already this season. And then you're down on Jello, who I thought has regressed probably since his penultimate effort. And we're left with La Patron, the unexposed La Patron, who I think has a big chance of getting into the mix at 13-2, Dave.
Finally, before we finish up, Barry, you'll be back with the Road to Cheltenham show on Monday. And of course, you'll be having a good old chat with EJ from EJ Menswear, with Cheltenham fast approaching. Lots travelling over the Irish Sea. Will maybe want to get the outfits sorted out for the 4 days if you are making the trip there. And EJ Menswear, I think he'll have you well covered, and you'll be teaming up with him next week, Baz.
Yeah, I think EJ's going to pop on the show to, I suppose, go through the full collection for those heading over to the Cotswolds, of course, in March. And look, all the big brands as well. Look, if anyone hasn't been down to the store, it was the old bank in Sligo. It's absolutely massive store. And as you did mention, Dave, it's not just the Champ.ie guys that he has been looking after. Your brother as well got married. So there's lots of clothing options, and EJ will be coming on to talk to you, not just about the 299 Taylor bundle, but all, I suppose, the big brands and all the offers heading to the Cheltenham Festival to be very well dressed in March, Dave.
Absolutely. Well, from myself and Barry, then, that brings the curtain down on another Champ.ie episode, and we look forward to a great weekend of racing. And hopefully we found you some winners.